In the lively town in Akwa Ibom State, there was a small but famous shop owned by a wealthy woman named Madame Eka. Her shop, called Eka's Delight, was unlike any other. Every day, people arrived in flashy cars, and wealthy customers from far and wide came just to taste her fried meat and palm wine. The air around the shop was always filled with laughter, and the smell of her cooking was so inviting that passers-by often stopped just to take a deep breath. What made Madame Eka's shop so special was her simplicity. She sold only two things, fried meat and palm wine. Yet, her prices were shockingly high, much more than any other food seller would dare charge. Strangely, people didn't mind. In fact, some saved up their money for weeks just to afford her food. Everyone claimed that her meat was the best they had ever tasted, so soft and flavorful that once you tried it, no other meat could compare. However, her success brought jealousy and suspicion from other food sellers in the town. Suya vendors and restaurants complained that Madame Eka was stealing all their customers. What is so special about her meat? They wondered aloud. Some thought she was just a good cook, but others whispered strange rumors about her. Meanwhile, something troubling was happening in Wuyu. Every week people went missing: school children, market traders, and even travelers. Parents would send their children to school, only for some to never return. Adults vanished on their way to work or errands, leaving no clues behind. The disappearances left the town in fear. People locked their doors earlier and kept their children close, but nothing seemed to stop the pattern. Every week, 4 or 5 new names were added to the growing list of the missing. The police were overwhelmed, and despite their investigations, they found no answers. Unbeknownst to anyone, the secret behind the disappearances was tied to Madame Eka's thriving business. Madame Eka's fried meat wasn't from cows, goats, or chickens as everyone believed. The meat she sold was human flesh, supplied by a group of criminals who kidnapped unsuspecting victims. Every night, her accomplices delivered the meat to her in secret. She paid them generously to keep them loyal and quiet. Then, she seasoned and cooked the meat, making it irresistible to her customers. Her wealth grew, and she became one of the most respected women in Wuyu, attending high-profile events and donating to charity. But not everyone was convinced by her success. Musa, a local suya seller, and his young helper, Kobi, noticed strange things. Why doesn't Madame Eka buy meat from the market like everyone else? Kobi asked one day. Musa agreed that something seemed off. One evening, Kobi came up with a daring idea. Let me sneak into her shop at night and see what's happening. If there's nothing wrong, we'll know. But if there is, I'll record it on my phone. Though worried for Kobi's safety, Musa reluctantly agreed. Late that night, Kobi snuck into Madame Eka's shop through the back door. Hiding behind crates, he overheard Madame Eka talking to one of her suppliers. I need more meat, she said. The supplier complained, it's getting harder to kidnap people. Everyone is more careful now. Kobi's heart raced as he realized the truth: the meat wasn't from animals but from humans. In his panic, Kobi accidentally stepped on a loose wooden plank, making a loud creak. Madame Eka's guards immediately caught him. When she found him, she ordered her men to kill him to protect her secrets. They drugged Kobi and prepared to take him to a hidden slaughterhouse. Meanwhile, Musa, who had been watching from a distance, saw Kobi being dragged into a car. Terrified, he called his friend Officer Dan, a local policeman, for help. Musa followed the car on his bicycle while updating Officer Dan on their location. The car eventually stopped at an old warehouse on the outskirts of town. Inside, Madame Eka's men prepared to kill Kobi, but just as they were about to act, police sirens blared outside. Officer Dan and his team stormed the building, arresting the criminals and rescuing Kobi just in time. The warehouse was searched and horrifying evidence was found: tools, human remains, and records of missing people. Madame Eka and her men were arrested. The next day, news of her crime spread throughout Wuyu. People were shocked and heartbroken to learn the truth. Families of the missing wept as Madame Eka was paraded in handcuffs. After a swift trial, she and her accomplices were sentenced to life in prison. In prison, Madame Eka faced harsh treatment from other inmates who despised her for her crimes. Meanwhile, Kobi recovered in the hospital and was celebrated as a hero for his bravery. Musa's suya business thrived as people trusted him for his honesty. Though the town began to hail, the memory of Madame Eka's evil acts served as a warning to all. One day, Kobe told Musa, "I want to be a police officer like Officer Dan. I want to protect people and make sure something like this never happens again." Smiling proudly, Musa replied, "You'll do great things, Kobe. You already have." And with that, their story of courage and justice came to a hopeful end.